This is the Game Jesters Gaming Update Podcast, here with episode 13 with your hosts, Angrod and Shamrock. So this week, we're going to do a little special. Instead of actually Gaming Update, we're going to rename this to more of Gaming Get to Know Your Host Update.
Yes.
That
the Get to Know Your Host personals. Not personals, but...
Title in the works.
Yeah. Not the person. We're not a There's an idea for a podcast, a Misconnections podcast. You hear another podcast, but you don't know the name of it. But then never mind. Let's not do that. Let's not get involved in that.
Yeah. So, for like we promised last week, this podcast 13, as the pun intends, we're doing a giveaway for Friday the 13th. And
yes, me. Because we can't be sued for this, so
we gotta change it a little bit. That's true.
We probably could be, but
we don't want those lawsuits hit. So
yes, we're me. That's the sound that
we should have done this on Tuesday the 12th.
Oh yes, Tuesday the 12th. And then we'd throw us off because then it'd be our 12th podcast. So
yeah, that's true. But for this, we're gonna be
Thursday the 12th. There you go, not Tuesday. I don't know how you're counting the days.
Oh wait, I meant Thursday. TNT, they're both just like May and March. They blend together. Right.
But like you said, this is our special because normally we have a whole news segment. But we decided to do something different this week because we're sometimes it's either a slow period or there's just so much news and information that you can report that it gets overwhelming. So now we have a nice little break in between. And I think it's okay that once in a while that we do this. We have that nice little break and give you guys something different to experience.
Yeah.
Whole other side.
So I figure for this one, the people who have been watching us and interacting with us and talking with us, we figure we'll do something where we talk about ourselves a little bit here and let you get to know us a little bit on who's giving you these updates, who's talking with you. So we'll go through, get some questions here. We'll go through and tell you about us and where we began.
After knowing me for 25 years, you know that
Whoop, you cut out there. Do I know you what?
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know how that happened. But after knowing me for 25 years, I like to myself. Yes.
You cut out again, but we'll go with it.
I don't know why I'm cutting out. What's going on here? Technical difficulties. Redo. Retake.
Yeah.
But yes, 25 years, I like to talk about myself. There, I got it through.
There we go. There you go fast. But yeah, so this could be a good special podcast here and have some through here. We'll do our little giveaway code thing. We'll talk about it more on Facebook if you check it out. If you watch this podcast, you'll be fully informed on what's going on. And yeah.
I think the problem is I actually did not pay my internet bill, so shh.
Oh man. You better not get cut out halfway through on us.
They're gonna be listening and they'll be like, wait, what? Cut.
Probably. Hey, more views for us at least if they're they're watching you that way.
I mean, this isn't Facebook. They're not spying on us.
But yeah, so a little update before we move on. I mentioned before the podcast 15 we were going to start hosting. We can actually start next week as we'll maybe their next podcast in 14. We can probably start doing this a live stream one now by next week. And then we can do a little gaming. We can do a little interaction. And then we'll start hosting people who interact with us. So 14 next week or next podcast, we're going to go live. So follow us. It's going to be on... I'll be on Video Game Jester, twitch.tv/Video Game Jester. I'll be live with it.
I am TG Lord Shamrock, which, TG, the Great or the Grand Lord Shamrock, which actually, honestly, it doesn't even mean that. It's just my cat's names have a T and a G in them, so I included their names in the in my tag there.
And it works. So yeah, check it out next week after the live one, after the games. We're going to be hosting one of you guys.
So this should be entertaining. That should be interesting overall to see how that plays out for us. Plays out. Pun. I love my puns. But speaking of that, so what do you want to talk about as far as we obviously... I mean, a little history here. As I mentioned, we've known each other for 25 years, and that's a hell of a long time. So we grew up together, basically. So that's our backstory.
Yeah.
And
so I figure
that's an exciting backstory. That's an exciting.
Yeah. I figured we'll jump into our history of gaming and where we started out way back in the day with, what was it, PlayStation 1? Or was it even before? Yeah, it was PlayStation 1 when we jumped on together.
Well, you know what? For me, we had our days. We were obsessed with Golden Axe.
Yeah,
And,
Sega. Yeah,
Streets of Rage on the Genesis, because I didn't have Super Nintendo, believe it or not. I had a Sega Genesis, and I had a Nintendo, a regular Nintendo, NES.
It's funny because I had the Nintendo stuff. I had the regular Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the 64, and we just completely flip-flopped as the years went on.
Yeah, and I used to have to go to my neighbor's house just to play the Super Nintendo. Like, that was the thing. Like, his mom bought him a Super Nintendo. I'd be over there all the time just playing the Super Nintendo. And she'd be like, oh, it's so cool that you come over here and hang out. I'm like, yeah, really good friends. Mario Kart, you know.
Yeah. I remember my very
WWF, Survivor Series, whatever else.
Wait, was it on
Royal
Super
Rumble?
Nintendo?
Was it? Was it Royal Rumble, maybe, I'm thinking.
I thought that was 64 was the first one we played.
You know what? No, there was one that was on Super Nintendo, and it was terrible.
Oh.
I can't remember. There was another one. There was like the arcade game. Undertaker had like superpowers, and you could like electrocute people.
I kind of remember that, but yeah, that was ridiculous a little bit.
And I'm pretty sure they ported that to like the Super Nintendo or the Sega or something. Because I remember it was literally an arcade game, and oh my god, it was so ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, so jumping way back, I remember it was Super Nintendo was why I first jumped in with gaming. It was either I can't remember between Zelda or not Firefox.
You were playing a web browser.
Yeah, Star Fox. I can't remember which one. I'm pretty sure it was Zelda was my first one actually. Way back, Link Between World or Link to the Past. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't see. I started with the original Nintendo. Actually, when we technical, we had an Atari. The 2600 Atari.
Yeah.
And we had that. We had a Vextrex. Oh God, that thing was terrible. That was that little box type thing that you put the colored screens over, and there was like the weird. I would call it a joypad, where it had like the little joystick, and then there was these buttons on the side. Oh my god, it was this big rectangle gamepad. It was ridiculous, and you had to change out the screens to get color on that thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it had common games like Asteroids and all that, and Centipede, and just your typical games that were already on Atari. So there was no point to the Vextrex. And
I remember those big box controllers; they were so odd.
Oh my god, yes. But yeah, no, I started with the regular Nintendo. I think that's why I have this, adoration for Nintendo, is because I grew up with, playing Super Mario with my brothers and my friends and my cousins and all that. So it was like we had that, and then we had, I grew into things like Punch Out, and then microwaving hamster games like.
Oh man, I know which game you're getting at.
Maniac Mansion, one of my all-time favorite games, and I still have to platinum. What's it called? Day of the Tentacle.
I thought you already did. Oh, for
you, yeah. I enjoyed it. I have a thing. I got to upload to my YouTube. Hilarious. In Day of the Tentacle, the one girl tries to microwave a hamster, and then because they're doing it as a throwback. There's so many throwbacks to Maniac Mansion in that game, which is why it's amazing. And that and Thimbleweed Park, they both have so many throwbacks to Maniac Mansion. So if you play them all, you get the whole thing. But she's about to microwave the hamster, and she's like, oh, because she talks really slow like that too. She's like, this could be bad. And then she's like, oh boy, and like the hamster's about to blow up, and his eyes are bugging out, but then he doesn't. And she's like, oh, that was close, but only because this is the 21st century. You see, back where I come from, kids who put hamsters in microwave get taken away and put up for adoption. So don't do it. And I'm just like, it's so stupid that.
Wow.
I laughed so hard at that for so long. Oh, great game though. But yeah, that's where I started. With the Nintendo, and I had those. I had my favorite games, and then I completely skipped over Super Nintendo, and then Sega Genesis was my big one for a while before the PlayStation came out and was a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a little opposite. I did the Super Nintendo was my first one. My sister was huge in the Zelda game. My mom was actually huge in the Zelda game. So we
Oh
had
wow, that's kind of a
Yeah, I know, because she can't play games at all now. But back then, when there was
yeah,
only like two buttons, she was big into gaming.
it's kind of weird to think about. Like if you think about like our parents and this,
Are you there?
and
Oh,
I'm here.
you
Yeah,
cut
sorry.
out. No, you cut out big time there.
I know. I realized I did, and I was like, I think it's my computer screen actually went blank for a minute, and then I had to re-hop on.
Well,
'Cause,
by next week, I can say that he'll have a new computer. We won't have these cutting out problems anymore.
Yes, it's like this one's like let's try to mess up as much because I know you're trying to get rid of me, and you can't get rid of me. That's what my computer is saying to me.
Yeah.
Try me, bitch.
But going back to our topic here, it was Super Nintendo. It was where I jumped in with Legend of Zelda. I remember being like I couldn't even read yet, so it was really hard because I jump into the game and I play through until you get to the reading part. Then I have to watch my sister, my mom play, and then I would go and do the part, watch how they beat it, and then I'd be able to get through. But I couldn't read, so I was just winging, and I just spent hours just running through the open world. And then eventually, I did go back to the original Nintendo and I played Castlevania. Again, this is
And
all
then
before I started school and I couldn't even read yet then, so I was just playing through.
So then you were just looking at the pictures in Nintendo Power magazine. This is how I do it. I got to do it this way.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was good times back then. It really helped once I started school up when I hit 6 years old and I finally went to school and learned how to read. Games became so much easier then compared to when I was like 4, jumping on when my mom let me like, here you go, you can jump on and play around and then that's why I kind of went and played Star Fox a lot because there was no real reading in that. It was kind of just jump in, dodge things, but that's how I started out, and then I went through. I used to come over to your house a lot, and we'd play the Sega. We play Golden Axe. We played that through Streets of Rage. I really liked those. That's where it started my co-op thing because I really liked. I couldn't read at the time because it was still we were young at the time. You were what 3 years older, so you were already in school.
Yeah.
You were cramming through. So I just let you follow. You led the way. You read what everyone said. Like when they said, go, you need to go southwest. I'd be like, what did they say?
And I didn't know which direction southwest was. I just knew the ward. So
So we ended up going east or something. And
pretty much, it's pretty much how that worked out.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny that you mentioned that because, darn it, I just lost it. I was going to say something funny and I lost it. I hate myself.
Oh man, losing the pun.
Oh, I did. I totally lost it. It was great though too. Would have been amazing.
I remember I loved Sega then. The Golden Axe and the Streets of Rage. We spent hours going through, get to the very last, we failed. I'm like, damn. Well,
Especially in
let's do it all
Streets of
over
Rage.
again.
In Streets of Rage, when the guy's like, "Oh, do you want to be my right hand man?" You're like, "Sure," and the other one's like, "No, don't do it. Don't be his right hand man." And then we're like, "What's the worst that could happen?" We're his right hand man. He sends us back 3 levels.
Yeah, what a troll.
And then you get those dumb women with the whips who do all the flips, and they're just like, even though it's the same character as the chick, she's just like, but they're they're OP as all hell.
Rocking the dominatrix there.
Oh my god, yeah, they were surprisingly OP. It was ridiculous. Like you would think like the big fire breathing guy would be OP, but no, you just had to dodge him and just kind of hit him, and that was it.
Yeah,
no, it was those chicks.
Loved the music that they played when you got to the boss fight and it got intense and you're like, things are getting wild now.
Oh yeah, I can hear it in my head right now. Actually,
that's where I thought of it. I was thinking it in my head
because you're thinking it right now. You're like, yeah, I hear that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. That. And then Golden Axe was also another one. Because we would spam the damn magic. I would. It's like, oh, I got magic. Spam.
So I did the opposite. I picked the old man, and I saved it up. He only had half the magic bar that everyone else had. He can only hold half. So I'd fill up my bar and do it all in one big powerful hit at the boss.
So I always played as the chicks because I always liked that they were, more acrobatic and more flexible and could do, like, the things that the guys couldn't do.
Yeah.
At least in the games. Because the one chick in Streets of Rage, she could do that like flip back kick where she throw the dude over her face, and and she had that jump where the other guy he would jump by just flexing his arms and be like her, like
yeah.
So that's how he jumped, and yeah, that was a good one. There was a lot of good ones back in the
Yeah,
back in the
speaking
day
of
with.
a really good one that we had was one that always gave you a sign when you needed it.
Oh yes, yes. Give me a sign. I don't even. I think that's the reason we enjoyed that so much was because of
Just the puns that we had with it.
it was so stupid. Like it was, and you know what is funny is they actually did. We're talking Road Rash, by the way. And this is a game that you people will need to know if you're following our Facebook page. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Road Rash. Oh my God! I just said that with a
road
massive
rash.
yes. I was hoping you didn't pick up on that.
No, we did. We caught it.
So Road Rash. I'm turning into Elmer Fudd. Go play Road Rash with that Wascally Wabbit. you know. Oh my lord! Road Rash is the game you'll need to know, and I'm just going to tell you that now. And there's a reason. But anyway, there is a remake actually, spiritual successor that came out just last year called Road Redemption. I haven't tried it yet, but it has an online co-op and everything. I've been wanting to try it, but I've been waiting for sale because $19.99 is a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, for a little indie game like that, kind of.
That I may or may not like. You know what I mean? But yeah, Road Rash was that was actually, you know, when you think about it, you look back. There was a lot of games like that you look at now. Number one, they kind of look terrible, but you don't realize how like much ahead of their time they were.
Yeah, I can tell you now, looking back at a game that I thought was going to be bad, but I went back and replayed, and it actually held up. And I was like, this is actually better than a lot of games now. And that was the Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars.
Yeah, you know what? That got a lot of upon release. From what I heard, a lot of people were like, "Well, what is this?" But then when you play it, you revisit it. Yeah,
It was probably one of my favorite Mario games of all of them. And
well, this is. I mean, back to what I was saying, like before you go with Golden Axe, like that was one that, like as I was talking about, a game that's ahead of its time because there was so much. There was almost an RPG element to it in a way, and then there was so much. It kind of, I feel like that's kind of like, in a way, what kind of paved the way for what would become open world games. Because, you know, while you didn't have much of as far as like choices and whatnot, you had like this story that was, you know, which is what you see very common in a like that now. So,
yeah,
there's that. But you were saying Mario. I said Mario Maker because I'm so craving a Mario Maker.
No, it was actually the Mario RPG. That was one of the my first jump ins with an RPG. It was the first one I played was another one people will probably hate me for, but I loved it because I was little. Was Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. People hated this one. I loved it. I was young at the time, but then Mario RPG was like my second jump into an RPG, and
You're just saying Mario as many times as possible to see if I'll get annoyed. I know what you do, and I'm not falling for it. Just saying.
I mean, you got to call him by what his name is.
We will not. I'm not falling for it. Not falling for this trap. I know what's going on.
Okay, we'll jump back and call him Mario.
Mario. I still love that in Mario Maker. The help screen lady. Her name is Mary O. I just
Mario.
It's like they knew.
I like the pun. I like it. See, even they know his real name. They're just helping.
But... yeah, his real name is Mario Mario.
Oh man, going back to the movie. I like the movie actually. But yeah, that was where I really wish they would they keep doing all these new Mario games. So I really wish that they would do another RPG, Legend of the Seven. They'd maybe do the Legend of the Eight Stars, or maybe Legend of Seven Stars too.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of been talked about, but I feel also that they kind of... It's just one of those things that, you know, people, like, they're going to ask Nintendo for years, and they're just going to tease it, and they're never going to do it. It's like...
yeah, they already said it's not going to happen.
I mean, how many times have you heard Nintendo, like, make jokes or puns about Mother 3, and then yet, you know... Like that one year when they did the E3, and they had the robot chicken style animation. And then the guy in they're like there'll be no Mario news this year, and then of course the next game they went to was Mario.
Yeah, I laughed at that. It was like okay, the next they had three new games for it. That and it was like, we're not going to do any touching on Mario this time.
And then you hear the guy in the audience go, "Give us Mother 3!" And then, like, he gets a fire. Reggie has, like, these angry eyes or something. Burns the guy. Like, the heck?
Yeah.
And, oh, you know what I loved about that? That was the same E3 where Bowser and Peach were in the green room getting the donuts. And she's like, "Oh, this is my donut." And then he's like, "Yeah, sorry about all those times I kidnapped you and stuff. It's, just kind of happens." And it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that was so crazy, but
yeah. But if we get any fun if Reggie himself comes or anyone from Nintendo listens in, we want some old school games. Look at what all these remakes, remasters, they're doing great. Give us, look at Secret of Mana. That was another one. That was another touch of my RPG life. That was an amazing game, and I love the remake. Do another RPG Mario game.
RPG Mario I could handle. I would.
Paper Mario was okay, but I like.
I was just saying, that's kind of where I was going with it. Paper Mario was one that kind of explored with, and there was another one on the 3DS that they kind of, but it's still not Mario RPG. It's still not the same.
Yeah, especially all the characters like Geno and Malo, and then getting to play as Bowser joining your team. Oh man, that game holds up.
But I mean, I think they're kind of, they. You never know. They might surprise us with that because you never know. Because, I mean, you look at a game like, I know this isn't really the same, but you look at a game like Mario versus Rabbids Kingdom, and like nobody expected that to be a good game, and then here people like praise that religiously now as if it's like some sort of, because it's a turn-based strategy RPG type thing, and yeah, people were like, "Oh my god, this is really good. This shouldn't be so good," and then you never know.
Yeah, all the like D&D type things, turn-based strategy that were from Nintendo, they were bad, but I mean, they paved the way for the good ones that we have now.
So obviously, now we're not to get too started from this. We're talking about like how we got into game. What we're obviously gamers from our youth. So what basically, if I can ask you, and I can answer this too because I'm asking myself, what kind of like, obviously when you're a kid, all kids play video games, and then throughout your life you it's kind of like with other things, you lose interest in things. So, but for some reason, obviously here we are, both 25 years old, because you somehow caught up to me and even surpassed me.
Yeah, there we go.
Because that's how math works.
Yeah.
But what was the drive? Was there something that kept you yourself interested in gaming? Was there something that obviously you didn't stray away from it? So here we are now doing a gaming podcast. So
I think the biggest thing for me is just dealing with money issues, life itself, going through college, the stress of college and everything. There's everything that life throws at you. Video games are always to come home, get the stress off, and I just loved it. I loved looking at the updates, seeing what's coming out, seeing the new games, getting hyped, getting them and playing them. It just burned all the stress, all the like anxiety, depression, everything you have in your life. It just burns it all away.
So almost like an distraction, but kind of like the way my other
second
half
life kind of thing.
Like my other half describes it as like an escape from, not necessarily an escape from reality, but like
I would say it's kind of like that.
And you get to get in your own, and it's therapeutical, I guess, in a way. But there's, for me, I think I obviously, I aside from you, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, so I mean, yeah, I did. I had friends who I'd go over to jump on their trampoline, and then they'd come out and be like, "When's it our turn? When's it?" After not knowing they were home and doing like a big, Mission Impossible stakeout mission kind of thing, like knocking on the door, seeing what the cars in the driveway. There's backstory there, people. There's backstory, but
we might get into it someday.
When is it our turn? Like, you weren't home. How are you home? You didn't answer the door. What?
Yeah.
We're not using you for your trampoline or your money. No.
Yeah, but I think a lot of my tie comes in with I have a lot of online gaming friends. That's what I got going.
That's kind of one of the other things too. Like I, as well, especially in more recent years, as online gaming has become prevalent. Like that was one of the rights because it's so much easier to make friends online. I think than it is in real life. So I think for me, I think that was another thing. Like that's why I kind of continued to be into the whole gaming realm, is because it's like, here I am, this awkward teenager in high school, and yes, I play basketball and I'm interested in joining the wrestling team and all this other stuff, but I don't fit in anywhere. So it's like, but when you're playing these video games, you get to go in this whole like kind of like the same way as reading and movie, kind of like do the same thing. Like you get to almost like my other half is escape from reality and kind of be in your own little. You get to live out a fantasy. So.
Yeah, and that's always like it gets you away from all the troubles and the problems and everything.
So yeah, I think that's a very common thing, a common answer, common theme. But yeah, it's definitely.
And to keep you getting more friends. I mean, that's where a lot of the times I make all my new friends from playing online.
And you know what, too? That's a lot of why we stayed in touch, too, and gaming, because we were connected through gaming. We were, online gaming when online gaming was taking off. Like, when we both finally had DSL. Oh, God, DSL. Wow.
Yeah.
DSL, what's that? But, we'd play WWE 207. 2007, 207. What the hell am I saying? 2007 SmackDown versus Raw, whatever it was called back then.
That was a good one. I'd pretend to be the referee.
Yes,
I want a fair match, and then I just interfere in all hell, and
we'd troll the hell out of them, and they'd fall for it every. But the good thing was there was no communication system, so there was no like messaging system where they could be like, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah.
And now you try that, you get so much hate message. Oh my lord!
I like the hate message though. I mean, if we're playing a game and I troll you, send that message and let me know you're angry because I feed off of that.
That's what I do now on Friday the 13th. I'll run over just yesterday I ran over. I didn't even run over the guy on purpose because he was actually standing behind the car and Jason morphed that way. So it's like okay. And here he is talking to Tommy. They're just standing there. I don't know if they're talking on the headset, like communicating something. Like, oh yeah, you go get the sweater, blah, blah, blah. And I just ran them both over by accident. This was legit accident this time. And then the guy gets on the microphone, and then, he's looking at my thing, and he's like, oh yeah, you're level 92. My ass, you are. And then it was just so ridiculous that he was complaining the whole time. And then he'd be like, oh, Shamrock's a troll. Anyone who joined the lobby, Shamrock's a troll. He's a troll, man. And like he was just going on and on. Amusing to me. I get that a lot, by the way. But
nice.
Yeah, it's great because, here we are. That's what life is these days. But
yeah. So
I kind of enjoy that a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump in a little bit of a history of our podcast here that we got going. So anyone who's been, probably anyone who jumped in is listening now. They don't know where we began and originated because we changed so much throughout the time. Where did this come from? Yeah. So this podcast originally started out as a solo project I did, and it was actually under the name of Game Fame, which is kind of. I kind of like the name Gestures now, but I started out a long time ago.
Honestly, Game Fame does sound like a rejected Lady Gaga album.
Yeah, just a little bit. But I mean, it kind of rhymed. It's kind of like a pun name. So I do a lot of puns, and it was kind of a punny name.
No way! I can't believe how many of them I missed. I've listened back to so many of our podcasts. Oh, dude, he made a pun there, and why didn't I catch it? And why didn't I comment on it? I think because I'm in my own thought process so much sometimes that even though I'm listening, I'm not like actively listening all the time. So I'm trying hard now to spot these puns.
Yeah, I like dropping them every now and then. So that was the name. The Game Fame was part of a pun in that, and I started out solo, and I'd actually do it. It was really hard, and it was a bad way of doing it, but I would be doing it live while I played video games. I'd be doing the game, and I'd be focusing on the game and doing the update and trying to do it all from memory. I didn't take notes or anything, so it was a little I didn't have a good setup either. I still have some of them. I might just go back and do a throwback. The sound was bad and everything. And eventually I pulled this one friend I had who got involved for like 1 or 2 episodes and that, but didn't work out. So I went back to solo. And eventually I stopped doing the living and I started writing notes down and I'd read off my notes, and it worked out a lot better that way. And that's where that came from. But after like 10 episodes of Game Fame, I was like, this isn't working out. And I took a long break. It's like almost a year break before I jumped back on. I started up the Game Jesters Update podcast, and I did about 5 episodes. And I was like, this is not, it's good updates, but it's not really what I want. It's not a podcast type thing. And that's when Shamrock, we were talking about it, and he jumped in, and this is where we are now.
Yeah, I literally have no idea how you presented it. I don't remember.
Oh, 1 second, you're cutting out a bit there.
Yep,
You're back.
I'm Charlie Brown's teacher. That's just what I've established today. This will not happen once I get this new gaming.
Yeah,
I really do think it is my internet company now. They're listening to me much like Facebook does, and they're like, oh, he didn't pay his bill yet. I didn't pay it. I forgot about it, so now I got to go and pay it. So it happens.
Yeah, he's starting out here how I started out. Now I have the good setup. He's got to slowly work his way to get that good setup so we can have...
Got to work your way to the top, man.
Yeah.
But no, I literally, I said, I have no idea how I got... I really don't. I just was there one day and we were talking about it, and I was like, okay, well... Oh, no, because I think I had, Nintendo updates to share or something.
Yeah, I think that was it. And I just come on the podcast and throw them out.
Yeah, we were talking about... And then it worked. Sort of worked a bit. And then... we didn't do it for a bit, and then, we started, then somehow month or two ago, we're like, hey, let's get this back up and do a regular thing now. And
yeah, we changed it from bi-weekly to a weekly one now. And it was also, there was supposed to be, my co-host was actually supposed to be another friend who was supposed to jump on, but problems happened, and he eventually will be joining us soon, so you'll see a third person.
And he died.
Nah, he's still alive. He'll be. But that's when Shamrock kind of jumped in. Because I was like, I don't want to do this solo anymore. But he can't do it for a year yet, which was about a year ago. So he should be jumping in soon. Because I had all of the Sony type stuff. And then we had Shamrock with the Nintendo. And then he comes with the Microsoft and PC and all of that kind of news. So we'll have to try.
We got the Triforce.
Yeah.
Of gaming here.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly when, but hopefully sometime soon we'll be getting him coming back in, and that's where Shamrock.
Now I mentioned the Triforce, the Nintendo's sending a cease and desist letter. I just got it in our Facebook. No, I'm kidding.
I can see it though.
You never know. You can't mention the Triforce without promoting Breath of the Wild. You never know. But yeah, for me this is great too because that's funny that you mentioned that because I actually. How it kind of all came together organically, which is great because I love when things come together organically like that. But I had been talking it feels like years about starting some kind of podcast and doing that. And, it was just trying to find, the host or a co-host or someone, because sometimes you go through people and sometimes it's just some things don't work. Sometimes,
this isn't working.
Get out of here. Go. I'm taking over this. I'm firing you.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
This is the Gaming Jesters. This is the Gamer Jesters podcast with your host, Shamrock, and no one else.
Harsh.
No one. God, I can't even do the intro, so I need you still. But no, seriously though, we, like I said, I was, interested in getting some sort of podcast together. Granted, I was trying to think of what's going to work. What was going to work? I originally, had an entertainment podcast in mind, doing hot news stories, kind of, like a male version of The View without being catty and annoying. And no offense to, because I'm sure I say that and I'll be on The View getting burned by The View.
Yeah, and they'll pull up this podcast and show it, and then you'll get hate.
Hey, but good hate is good hate. But no, then that's what it is. School now as a digital media student, and then there is a bit of audio that goes in that program as well. So kind of to explore that is a fun thing, a fun avenue for me, especially if, long-term goal. I can't talk today. I keep adding W's where R's are, and I swear I don't have that as a problem, but now I do, because why not? And long-term goal here is, I think, I'd like to get, maybe someday have, like, not necessarily a studio, but something like that line, my own place, my own little recording studio. People can come in, rent out the space, record their own crap as well. That kind of stuff, I think my long-term goal, and we'll see what happens with that. But
yeah, I mean, that's the big dream, is get big and then be like a big old studio where we actually do this, like maybe how usually people do live, where we're both in the same room maybe sometime and go in and then stream. That's my big.
Go to the convention and then have that whole panel session where
that's where. See, I like the fans, the interaction. I kind of want that. The Comic-Con where we get people coming up and talking to us. And
get booed because you like the Mario movie from the...
Oh, man. Come on. If you...
I'm not letting this go. I'm not letting it go.
I'm going to cosplay John... Crap, what was his name? John Leguizamo or something. I'm gonna cosplay him. Luigi without the stash. Leguizamo.
I'm gonna be. That's a good idea.
Nope, you're cut out.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I was just, I was dealing with an existential crisis, a dino crisis, if you will. And no, there wasn't really any crisis. It was just unnecessary interruptions on my end. So I was making sure that I was affording you, the listener, the opportunity of not hearing these interruptions. I sensed it coming, so I muted it quick so there would be no interruption. I saved you all from the terrible interruption. So you didn't just hear some banging on the door like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. But, yeah, so... I guess that's where the history of the podcast. I guess we can end this up with my final topic here. I got I guess unpopular opinions about games. What we think, things that where gaming's going, like what we don't like and what we do like and what they're not doing.
We don't like EA. We don't like loot boxes.
Oh no, I love them. I love giving away $69 for a game and then $50 for the click start button on the game. And
I love illegally gambling.
Yeah, no, they need to drop that. I also hate, one thing I hate, and I keep saying this, but games keep pushing this, is a big cop-out just to get more hours, but they know it and they keep pushing it. I hate collectibles in games. They're ridiculous. They suck.
But you're a trophy hunter. So
I'm a trophy hunter. I do love hunting trophies, but I hate collecting collectibles.
So how is that different than collectibles? Not to sound like a dick, but like, where's the difference?
Well, see, I like the trophies. They show off and they look good on my score. But then we'll go, Spider-Man's a big example. I love Spider-Man. I'm fine with the free roam going through, but I beat that game in 6 hours. The main story, went through, crammed out, 6 hours, beat the game. I spent about 20 hours farming out all of the collectibles, getting all the pictures, the backpacks, fighting all the crime and everything. 6 hours of gameplay, which I loved, versus 20 hours of running around getting collectibles. And then they say, yeah, we have 30 hours of gameplay in this game. No.
Oh, so it kind of is a misleading thing. That's why. More misleading. And I got that vibe a bit, because I was the same way with Super Mario Odyssey. 6, 7, 8 hours. And then, here, go around, collect 900 moons. And you're like, what?
Yeah. And it's just so time consuming and it gets boring. It's like because I like going through and being action packed, doing stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. I stopped collecting the moons because I was just like, I got to 100 of them and I'm, what? I was going to.
Yeah, you just get so bored. And like when they put in huge, like there's 7 days to die. You can only have 4 people in a game, and it's meant more for like killing zombies and that. They put a trophy in, kill 2,500 players. Well,
oh my god!
There's no one even plays this game. How am I going to kill these players? I have to talk a friend into buying it and to kill them,
and then just have them spawn in, kill them, to spawn in, kill.
Rinse, repeat. 2,500 times. it would take like 8 to 10 hours just to farm it out on someone if I can talk someone
Oh
into getting
my
the game.
lord. But you know what they what I don't like about game. Well, I'm kind of on the fence about some things. Like I originally DLC was a thing that really got under my skin, but now it's kind of I'm okay with it. Not okay with. Okay, I should say I'm okay with as long as the game doesn't require the DLC. Like as long as it's still an optional thing and just adds some value to the game but doesn't affect the whole core story. Still
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of what like if there's one thing that like I think some of it is sometimes people in some gaming communities can be very toxic. And that's a thing that like people have their opinions and they're very strong. Especially recent examples, definitely Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
You say you don't like something about Kingdom Hearts, you're the devil.
Yeah. I remember the one time GameSpot, like back when Kingdom Hearts 2 was new, this was back like 2006 or something. I said, I don't like Kingdom Hearts because it's really kiddie-ish and childish, and I got banned. Like the mods actually banned me because I said
How
that.
dare you have an opinion?
I don't know, right?
Yeah, but no, that's like that is really mean like someone in this one group, and it wasn't like a troll post or anything. They were just saying that Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't appeal to them because they're not really big fans of Disney, and they're not big fans of the story just doesn't seem very interesting to them, which is understandable because you're going if you're not especially if you're not a fan of Disney, then you're not gonna you're probably not gonna appreciate going to different Disney worlds and.
Yeah.
But then, this person got grilled so hard, and it was so toxic. It's like I kind of almost felt bad for them. I'm like, even though they're not, because sometimes there's people who are definitely they'll say that kind of stuff to just incite that response. They're like, yeah, but they had like they had a legitimate reason for liking it, and they're oh no 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 no, you must like oh no you suck if you think this different. It's like dude, it's a game. We all have our preferences. Like I know you like some games I don't like, and I like some games you don't like.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm not right. You're not right. Sometimes you think you're right, but
Vice versa.
Whoa! This took a dark turn. The shade is flying now, man.
Yeah.
This is what people are gonna tune into right here. This is the preview. I'm putting this in the preview. It's a battle, man.
Right.
No, but yeah.
So nah, I see where you're getting at. Like this whole console war thing. I have every console. Xbox. I play PlayStation. I have everything but the Switch. I didn't get the Switch yet. I have the Wii. I have the Wii
I thought
U.
you had one. I thought you got it, or you were getting one. Or
I borrowed one. I borrowed one from a friend, but I didn't actually get it myself. I played because I played Breath of the Wild, but I couldn't get into it enough that I didn't go out and buy it myself.
Breath of the Wild was garbage. I hate to say it. Whoa! I mean, no. I mean,
You're gonna get hate now.
no.
Yeah.
You know what? Because we've talked about it on the other podcasts before. Like, yes, it was a new venture for Nintendo where they're really, and especially a Zelda game, to have this whole open world environment that was new, and breakable weapons and things like that. Things that RPG open world games were doing for years, and then suddenly Nintendo does it, and it's like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. No one's ever done this before. It's like everybody has done this before.
Yeah, I noticed they do that a lot. They say this revolutionary. We've never seen this, and there's a lot of times it's been seen before. They do that a lot.
I mean, there was some things I will give Nintendo a lot of credit because there are some things that as terrible as the N64 controller was, in my opinion.
Oh, I loved it though.
But that kind of set the standard, in general of what a controller kind of, not what it looks like, but where the buttons are and things like that, and things like, even simple things like putting a directional pad on the previous, controllers is, became a standard, and
pretty
just
much.
things like that. So there was, in that regard, yes, but when you go and you say, oh, it's the most groundbreaking game and so revolutionary, it's like, dude.
Yeah.
Skyrim did this 5 years ago.
It's pretty much Nintendo's version of Skyrim, kind of.
And then they made the dungeons easier. So.
Yeah. But we're at our 45 minutes here, so we're gonna wrap this up. Make sure console wars don't be toxic. Love all consoles. Love all gaming. Love all gamers.
I love how you're saying this, and I'm just here trashing the hell out of the game. Love all things, and here I am. I'm being the hypocritical one.
Yeah, I know, right? But
no, I get what you mean. Yes, like I do. Even though I think the game to be boring, okay, it did deserve Game of the Year. Not really. It deserved some of the awards, but not Game of the Year. But it was a good game for what it was, and I could appreciate it. That's what I mean. I could appreciate even things I don't like. I could appreciate why they're there. And that's why I think more people need to kind of go with an approach like, yeah, we may not like that, but they're there for a reason. It does appeal to someone if it doesn't appeal to you.
Yeah.
So, but don't be a toxic person about it.
Yeah. And also be sure to check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/gamerjesters with an S at the end of the gestures, and Twitch at Video Game Jester and TG Lord Shamrock.
Yeah. And yes, on a final note, remember this week, this is the week we have our contest posted on Facebook. So you will see everything. And remember, I just whacked my microphone like an idiot. So if you hear a big thud, that's what it was. This contest, there was something we mentioned earlier in this podcast. So if you were listening, which you should be, and if you didn't listen to this point, you need to go back and hear what we highlighted.
Yeah, and that'll be on Facebook for it.
Yes, what we put an extra emphasis on with the wink wink. That was as big of a giveaway as I can give for that clue. So go back and hear where I said wink wink.
Yeah,
know what we're talking about. And then that is what you'll need to message us. But there'll be more details in that. The contest doesn't involve you to message us, but if you want a bonus entry, it does. So.
And remember, next week, the following week, Friday the 15th, we will be doing our 14th podcast.
Is that the real date?
Yeah, that'll be the date. February 15th on Friday after our podcast. I don't know. We'll be...
I can't. I feel like we're so trying to get away from being sued by Friday the 13th at this point.
No. Yeah, next week is really Friday the 15th. But we'll be live hosting our next podcast, and then we'll be playing the games, and then we'll be hosting one of our viewers, someone who's interacting. We're going to start or hosting in the next week's podcast on Friday. Be sure to check us out. We'll be live pretty much all day. It's how we drop the host. So
all right, sounds good. Take it easy, guys.